you're going to be seeing a bunch of videos in your subscription box from your boy today because probably losing my 9-to-5 job. So I need to be making all the videos I can. If you could even check out the description, buy a copy of my book, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, let's dive into a massive flaw that Edison format has that I did not realize until now. Let's dive on into it, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, if you could do me a huge favor, destroy the ever-living boo-boo, staying off that like and subscribe button so we can keep on climbing even higher the 1600 ladder. Please share the video around. Like I said at the beginning, 99% positive that I am losing my my 9-to-5 part-time job. So if you could help me not be living in my car under a bridge, I would really appreciate it. So just share the video around. You know, I'm not saying you got to give like a super thanks. Just share the video around, subscribe, you know, do whatever you can. Check out the description. I would really appreciate it. So let's dive on into it. For those of you who saw my quitting competitive Yu-Gi-Oh video, you'll know that I'm taking a break / hiatus / I don't know anymore. It's like a bad divorce or something with Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I think the format is one of the worst in the game's history, especially because of Mitsurugi basically being able to just FTK you if you don't have Droll Lockbird, right? So I've been taking a break, and I got to give a shout out to my homies Greg and Chris. These are some old friends of mine. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm drinking margarita mix from way, way back in the day. If you saw my Doom video, you know what I'm talking about. But these are two guys I've been friends with for over a decade. They've known me since like I was a kid, 12 years old, right? And they've been getting me into Edison. And it has been so refreshing and so much fun to be hanging out with some old friends again and playing Edison and seeing what the format's evolved into. And it has been some of the most fun I've ever had. Watching Fraser Smiths teach me how to cook is just good fun. It's so much fun, and it is so refreshing, and it reminds me of days long gone by and a much simpler time. And I really want to give those guys a shout out because it's been so much fun being able to talk shit with each other and reminisce and just be nostalgic and just enjoy the game and have them coach me on this format. It's all a lot of fun, right? Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. As fun as Edison is, every format has its problems, and Edison is no fucking different. I have played over 100 games at this point in Edison format. Now, this complaint I'm going to make could come from lack of experience. In case some expert or just, you know, champion of Edison format, whether it's Fraser Smith, whoever sees this video, hear me out first before you get pissed off in the comments or make a response video. Although if you make a response video, shout me out because I need subs. But I don't know if it comes from a lack of experience. I have over 100 games on Dueling Book now. Pretty sure over 100 games on DB now. And I am playing the Forg deck, aka Frog Synchro, which is, from what my friends have told me, the most complicated deck in the format. But it's also considered the best deck of the format between Vayu Turbo, Blackwing, and all that good jazz, right? And essentially what it is, for those of you not familiar with Edison, is it's an OTK strategy with just basically a straight frog deck. You play 3 Salvage, 3 Moray of Greed, 3 Reckless Greed, 3 Substitute, 3 Swap, 2 Treeborn, blah, 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 blah. 3 Pot of Avarice because you're always dumping your grave. And you can basically, on a dime, Colossal Fighter, Armory Arm, OTK the opponent, or you can make like 3 to 4 level 6s, depending on whether or not you play Bleeze Frog, which is a level 3. You can make 3 to 4 level 6s and just punch for game. And you can play through Gores, because Gores was really big in this format, because you have a Goyo. So you can just swing over the Gores, maybe take the Gores, and whatever the case may be. It's really interesting in that regard, but you also need to have a very good understanding of your matchups and be able to make good reads. You know, you have to keep in mind in Edison, things like actual trap cards, not fucking hand traps, because the only hand trap back in this format was DD Crow. You got to make the reads on those traps. One of the biggest issues I have seen with this format my time playing, which again, it could be because I'm basically only been playing the Frog Synchro deck and not much else, Deck Devastation Virus, and by extension, Trap Dust Shoot. Trap Dust Shoot is a 1 of, and Deck Dev is a 3 of in this format. Holy jumping banana balls, ladies and gentlemen. These cards need to be banned in Edison. And It goes to show that no format in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is perfect. I don't care what format you go back to, there is going to be some sort of fundamental flaw in each format. GOAT format, you've got Delinquent Duo, Pot Agreed, Graceful Charity. If you open up the Trinity in your hand, you've won the game. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to come back from that because that's just so much advantage. In Dragon Ruler, it's the whole fucking format because I've already talked about how I hate that format. In Toss format, it's Thunder Dragon Colossus, depending on your deck. In Edison, it's Trap Dust Shoot and Deck Devi Eat My Ass Virus. The reason why these cards are so crazy, and again, I may be a little biased because I'm playing the Frog Synchro deck. Deck Devi hits basically all your frogs, right? And if you don't have access to something like Salvage, which you have to hard draw, you don't have a search for a search for a search that can get you to a Pot of Avarice, and then you just wipe the floor with your opponent and tell them to eat your ass proper. You have to hard open these things. And getting hit with 2 Deck Devis is really toxic. Now, you may be wondering, Avery, what targets could you possibly have for Deck Devi in Edison? What's the best deck in Edison? Vayu Turbo and Black Wings. Or as I saw someone on I think it was a TCG player or Pojo forum years ago, call it Crack Wings. You summon a Sirocco, you set a Deck Devi, and you sit there with a chub in your pants. And then when the opponent draws for turn, you hit him with a Deck Devi. And this was back in the day where you could note take. So you can just write down your opponent's entire hand, and you're like, I'm not bluffing any back row, am I? And you're like, no, you're screwed. Yeah, you may as well pick up your cards. So in that regard, the format's really toxic. And there are some occasions where if you don't open a lot of monsters, Dust Shoot doesn't hurt as bad, Deck Dev doesn't hurt as bad. And it does come down to making reads. Like, if you see, the opponent, let's say, for example, go first, and they set up some monster that they can Deck Devi, and they set one and pass, you can assume that that's a Deck Devi. But at the same time, that's not really something that you can play out of. There's no red reboot in this format. There's no, I don't know, insert any 1-card starter here. I even, actually just this morning, I played dumb with Frog Synchro just to see what would happen. And I just blew through my cards. I set up a Goyo turn 1, and the dude had 1 set monster, and I attacked into it as a fucking Raikou. And I lost my Goyo, and I proceeded to lose the game because I had no hand advantage. And so, I lost in 2 turns. So it was really interesting to see how when you don't play conservative, that you get really hard punished, especially just by a Raikou. Because back in the day, 1-for-1 removals were really good back in this time. And so if you get hit with a Deck Devi, or God forbid 2, but if you get access to Salvage, you can still kind of slow roll and play conservatively until you get your combo pieces. In this case, playing the Frog Synchro deck, you want, ideally Substitoad, Fishboard Blaster, and maybe Swap Frog, depending on the situation. You can still play conservative. If they hit your hand for a couple cards, but you got Salvage, you can get a couple of those cards back. And then you can save your Pot of Avarices for after the Deck Devi expires. You can put 5 of those monsters back, draw 2 cards, and maybe you're back in the game, depending on the board state. In regards to Frog Synchro in that specific scenario, it does require a high amount of knowledge on the format. To me, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer is not that strong, but something that my buddy told me, shout out to my buddy Chris, is that Kaiku's very strong because of being able to hit things in the graveyard, and in a simplified game state, it's most likely going to win you the game. So I do think that some of the issues I've been having with Edison so far come from a lack of experience. But having blowout cards like Deck Devi, and to an extent, depending on your hand, Trap Dust Shoot, doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel good. And Raikou, being as strong as it is, I don't think is as big of a deal because I think that's more of a sign of the times, right? I don't think Raikou should be banned just because it's good in a simplified game state. Same with Kaiku. I think that just comes because the format is so slow. And again, this is before shit so Scarecrow is legal, Pot of Duality. This is pre-Duelist Revolution. So Battle Fader is legal, but most decks don't play Battle Fader. So I lost to a dog shit player because he just happened to have Battle Fader. But none of the meta decks play Battle Fader. So it's kind of one of those things. It's basically just extra copies of Gores that if they have it, they have it. Most good players aren't playing Battle Fader, which is shocking to me because I remember back in the day, Battle Fader was $40, $50 a piece. But besides the point. But overall, I've really been enjoying Edison format. And it's actually very different from when I made my Edison retrospective video. Like, Quick Draw Dandy Warrior is a dog shit deck, which is shocking. So that's been really interesting to find out. And if you want a time where, I mean, it's just so different from modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Setting a monster and setting a back row is good. Play this format. It's a lot of fun. It's honestly really enjoyable. And the more I've been playing, the more I've been getting a hang of it. But don't go into this format thinking it's perfect, because things like deck dev and trap Dushu, I feel in my mind, really have so much pressure on the format that you're almost forced to play decks that can abuse both of those cards. More deck devy because trap dust shoot's generic. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Have you played any Edison? Do you want to go and play Edison now that I've said this? If you're an expert on Edison, tell me where I'm wrong. I want to learn. I want to get better. Also, the community is very healthy in Edison. I got to give them kudos for that. And some of the decks I've run into are really cool. Also, Djinn release of Rituals is busted. It's not too busted because you can flip-flop frog back the Ritual monster, but it's really fun, and the community, they want to help you. Like, it's very healthy, and I want to get better. So if by all means I'm sounding like an idiot, comment down below. Help me get better. I want to get better because it's so much fun, and it's so healthy to be able to just hang out with people who want to help you and get better, and hanging out with friends is always fun. Basically, it's a tabletop night. So, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.